Hey, everybody, welcome back for day 80 of 100 Days of Halloween. Yes, we are on day 80. Unbelievable. So, what are we doing for the 100 Days of Halloween, real quick? Because I do have some new people here. So, my lovely yarny friend and sister Ranee over at the Woolly Llama shop had discussed with several of us on a live back in July that she was wanting to do a project for the 100 Days of Halloween. And her brilliant idea was to make a block a day or a 6 inch by 6 inch square for every day of the 100 days and build this Halloween fall themed blanket. I thought it was a brilliant idea. So, because I had been wanting to make one and lifey stuff, yeah, I just had not gotten to it. So I figured I'm going to join in solidarity and have a lot of fun with this with her. And so what she had done was she had gotten on the interwebs and she had gone all over the place, comprised this big long list of all of these different fall and Halloween themed squares, appliques, and on her list, they are numbered all the way through. She put the numbers in her little jinxed jack-o'-lantern of joy, and she draws them at random to give you guys inspiration every day, except for Saturday and Sunday. She draws those 2 days on Friday because most generally she does work long shifts, but you still get those for the weekend. And that way, if you want to either make the squares and join in or use them to make something else, or, and I keep having this pop up, um, and she's used some, she's tossed some, but in the midst of all this, she has found more squares, more appliques. And so her list has grown and grown and grown. And the life of her blanket has also grown and transitioned into other things. And if you don't know what I mean, I'm not going to give it all away. Go over there and check out her channel. I am loving the journey she's on with this blanket and how she's had to pivot multiple times. I'm so here for it. Um, and then we have some other yarny friends and sisters who have joined in. And one of which is Nova over at Nova Gnome Creations. She had a lot of lifey transitions going on, and she could not commit to a blanket. However, she has been making squares. She has been updating on those squares here and there, and we are not going to see the finished projects until her 13 days of Halloween celebration. All we know is she is making wearables for herself and some near and dear littles in her life, and I can't wait to see those. Yeah. And then we also have our yarny friend and sister Patricia, who also had a lot of stuff going on and other projects as well. She could not commit to a blanket. She has been making smaller things, and she wasn't telling us what she was making. And she just pops out a video and says, "Hey, look what I made." And she first made a crossbody handbag for while she's out and about during the fall season doing some fall festivities. And then she turned around later on and made a matching scarf. Super cute. And then she made an Ami, and she really surprised us with that one. And word has it on the street she is working on another project. I'm not sure. I do know she has a lot of things going on right now. So I know she will get us a video whenever she can. So if you do not know my yarny friends and sisters, please go check them out. They are linked in all of these videos. Um, I highly suggest them if you don't know them. And if you don't know them, I don't know where you've been. So we also have some of you yarny friends and sisters that have been making projects as well. We've gotten some photo submissions in the community post, and I've gotten an email photo from one of you. And um, I'm not sure if you guys have sent them over the Rainy, but what I'm going to do is I'm saving the photos, and when we come to Halloween, I'm going to try and do a little video photo montage. So you guys still have time to submit photos on anything. I don't care if it's a fall or Halloween themed coaster, or you just do an applique in anticipation on using it on something later. Go ahead and submit your photos. We would love to see them and see how many people are joining in on all our Halloween fun. So, with that, let's break down what I'm doing with my blanket. My blanket's being done a little bit different. Like I said, Rainey has had to pivot. And so she's not doing a square day for the 100 days. And like I said, go see her so you can see why. I still am following the trajectory of 100 squares in 100 days. We are actually on day 80 today. I'm counting mine up in groups of 10. It's easier for me to keep track of. And once we finish a group of 10, I do a little video short recap. And that way they are ready to go to be fed to my blanket. And if you don't know what I mean by fed to my blanket, definitely go back and watch yesterday's video and you will see why. I have a lot of black kitties, so we're feeding the blanket. Um, so since we before this group of 10, we had finished 1 through 70, and we have now been working on 71 through 80. And today we are finishing up those. So let's do a little recap today. And then I'll do my little video short over the weekend recap before they can be fed to the blanket. And we'll get on with 81 through 90. Cannot believe it. So, for day 71, I had just returned from vacation and anticipating going on vacation. I had pulled squares already prior and worked on those so I could do videos to schedule out for while I was gone. So I would still be doing my square a day. And I forgot to do one for the day I would begin recording again. So we had to quickly figure out something. And so we did Pumpkin Granny Square by Repeat Crafter Me. All of the information for any of these squares will be in my description box. Just look for what day it is, and it gives you all the information. And if there's a link, I will put a link. If it's something I freehanded, there will be no pattern, and I will let you know. So, Pumpkin Granny Square, Repeat Crafter Me. It's on her vlog, but it's also available on Yarn Inspirations. And I did find my pattern, and but I didn't look over and see how big the squares were because it said the blanket used 20 squares. And to me, the squares would have to be bigger if you're only using 20. So I would have to look at that again. So I found it in my phone. So that was day 71. Then day 72 square we drew at random from the Boo Box of Fate was this Moonlight Cat Granny Square. And this is by the Crocheted Bean. I have all the information for this one in my description box. And you basically start with a black circle, then you switch over to white for the moon portion, switch to blue to do the background to square it off, whip stitch some little stars and some little whiskers. And she doesn't add eyes or a nose. I suppose you could. I left it as is the way she does it. And I like it because it gives that retro vibe. And it goes with all my black kitties. So there we go. That was day 72. Then for day 73, we drew out at random this pumpkin spice square. And I chose to use one of it's a set of 5 ghosties from the Caffeinated Snail for a Halloween banner. And it's like little ghosties that are dressed up as trick-or-treaters. We had already done the Franken ghostie in either the first or second week. I can't remember. And then we did the pumpkin ghostie. I just made additional pumpkins so it looked like it was in a pumpkin patch. And we've done the witch ghostie, and that left 2 more. And so we did the vampire ghostie on this square. We have a pirate ghostie left, and one of you guys gave me inspiration for another ghosty, and I have that applique ready as well. I'm just waiting for the perfect square for it. So there'll be two more ghosties at least before we get to the end of this, before we get to the last square. So that was that one by the caffeinated snail. And then for day 74 at random, we drew one of the squares made from Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo Stripes in the Brights. And we chose to leave this blank because if you've been around a while, you guys know I have some appliques that I've worked up that are too large for just one square. And so my idea with some of these is to strategically place them about where I can use those extra large um the appliques that ate the Wheaties, apparently, and still implement them in my blanket because I don't want them to go to waste. I really want to use them in the blanket. I'm just going to have to figure out how to situate them in there. So at this point, we're leaving it blank, and some of these have been left blank to kind of break up all the busyness from all of the appliques because there's a lot. So there was that one. And then for day 75, we drew out a like a burgundy wine colored square. And I had seen Ranee had drew this applique out. I want to say it was either right before or during my vacation, I think. And I fell in love with it. I wanted to use it. And I was waiting for a square that would make the colors pop. And it's the Candy Corn Unicorn by Golden Lucy Crafts. And so we put her on this wine burgundy colored square. And I think the color just makes the orange and the yellow pop. So, and I think she's so cute. That was why I wanted to use her. So that was day 75. Then day 76 square, we drew this midnight blue colored square, which is Red Heart Super Saver in Blue Wave, almost like a denim blue. And I decided after sitting and thinking about it, I was going to try and work up an applique that was suggested by several of you. And off the top of my head, I remember two. And that was Patricia over at the Yarny Cat Crochet and Sam over at Memphis Makes. They had guessed and suggested this multiple times. And I had a little body image laying around in my little applique box that I didn't end up using for the mummy because I changed to a different color. And so I was like, I wonder if I can use that. So I played around with it a little while and I came up with Dobby from Harry Potter. And all it was the head part, the round part, a body, and the legs and the arms. So I had to figure out some ears and his little pillowcase sack that he wears and his little socks so he could be a free elf. And yes, his nose is 3D. There we go. And I love him. He's in my top 5 favorites, if not my top 10. You guys know it was hard with all the kitties in there because they're always my favorites. And then the purple people eater came along, and now we have a Dobby. So there we go. Thank you, Sam and Patricia, for the inspiration on him. He was so fun, and hopefully I can figure out what I did later after this blanket stuff is done and create a pattern for him because I love how he turned out. So that was a day 76. And because he was free-handed, there is no pattern right now. So then for day 77, we drew this harvest gold color that the more I looked at it, kind of looked like a squash gourd. And so it was giving me kind of harvesty, sunsetty vibes. And so I took inspiration from some things I had been seeing while we were traveling for my vacation and since I've been home. And I had been seeing a lot of trucks hauling pumpkins. And I'm assuming they were going to fall festivals, farmers markets, things like that. And this truck applique is by Crochet by Colleen, and it's called Pumpkin Truck. And every single part is separate and you have to sew them all together. You've got the truck body, then you got to do the window and these little door strips. your fenders, your tires, the little board for the back that holds the two pumpkins in. But it wasn't that hard to put together. It was super fun, and I like how it turned out. So that was inspiration from our travels and what I've been seeing, because we are in spooky season, fall festival season, all that. So there we go. And then for day 78, we drew at random this C2C square made with Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo stripes in the neons. And I had been battling a migraine. And some of you suggested later on, if I don't end up using this one to put some of the extra large squares on, you had suggested some eyes like a monster peeping out or something. And I may do that later on. We'll see what we do with it and how it looks within the blanket. So that is something we will deal with later, because we can always make changes later. And if we do, I will let you know. And then for day 79, we drew at random another of the Red Heart Super Saver jumbo stripes in brights. And but it was different. See, and I love how every single one of these squares was different, because I just let the colors flow, and I did it until I ran out of enough yarn to make a full square. And then we ended up using that smidgy bit that was left over to make candies for a square. I think it was in our last group of 10. So we left it blank. We're going to be strategic with these. And then for today's square, after I drew it and I was talking to you guys and told you put your guesses and suggestions in, I kind of had an epiphany. So let's see what you guys said, and then we will see if my epiphany worked or not. So, I'll find it. So Sam from Memphis Makes said, "Hey Missy, loving the blanket so much. Excited to see the sketch piece if it works. I guess just in case, a spooky, ghostly pirate ship. Ooh, I wonder if I could freehand that." Ellen from Ellen's Crochet is saying hi. Hi, Ellen. Lisa Knits is saying hi, Missy. Hi, Lisa. Um, MZZ Monica M basically is saying hi with smiley faces. Hi, Monica. Manic Mama says your blanket looks amazing. Thank you. And Alana Hawkins said, how about a cute out in fun bright cup? Maybe owl. Um, how about a cute owl in fun bright colors on the blue square? Still watching every day, just been quiet. Sorry. No worries. No need to say you're sorry. I do the same thing sometimes. I watch. I'll like, I'll give them their thumbs up and stuff, but sometimes I just don't always comment because I'm trying to catch up, but I try. Um, and then she said, one other thought, maybe you could put your special patch on the back of your blanket so you can always remember what year you made it, and your patch and blanket will be together. Or you could put it on one of the squares you didn't want to fully cover up. I'm still trying to figure it out. Yeah, we will figure that out later. Because I'm thinking I may put a flannel backing on the back of my blanket, for some of the squares that required a lot of stitching applique work, and they aren't so pretty because it was too hard to hide all of the additional stitching on there. So we will see. And I think it would kind of add a little if I could find maybe some fun flannel. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But good ideas. Thank you for that, Alana. And Amy from Hooked on Wishing is basically saying hi. And hi, Amy. And she always has the coffee emoji. And she's reminding me I do need my coffee. I haven't had it yet today. So those were the suggestions. So what I was talking about yesterday, um, was I had gotten an email from one of you guys. Her name is Ruth. I don't know if she'll want me to use her last name. She didn't say. And she had sketched out an idea and she sent me a picture of the sketch. And she said it was an idea that I might want to use on one of my squares. She says, I'm not very good at drawing, but I think you get the gist of it. And you're so creative. I know you could take it and run with it. I think you're doing a super job. I just love your blanket so much. Have a great day and be safe. So I'm going to show you the sketch without showing her last name, just in case. So this was her sketch. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. It's a zombie coming out of a grave. That was her idea. So I sat down and I worked with some stuff and frogged a lot. And I was trying to figure out, because I didn't want to just throw something on there and say, okay, here was your inspiration. I wanted to make sure that I kind of did her sketch justice. And so, Ruth, this one is inspired by your sketch, the zombie coming out of the grave. And I hope it meets your expectations. I did add a little extra, because I'm extra. So, please reach out to me and let me know if you like it or not. So, here is my zombie coming out of a grave. So, she didn't have the tombstone, even though she said it was coming out of the grave. So, I did the RIP, and so I did the zombie head, and I was like, when I was got to the point of the hair, I was like, you know what? Because he is a zombie, we need a little bit of brain sticking out. So we added some pink right there. And then we did his hand, a little applique work on his head. And then we did the dirt with some little sprigs of grass. So that was inspired by Ruth, and I hope she likes it. I hope it's what she had in mind when she was doing her sketch. So, Ruth, please let me know. Um, yeah. And I had fun. I had fun once I kind of got the vision in my head of how to start working it. There we go. So that was day 80, inspired by one of you guys. Thank you so much, Ruth, for taking the time to actually draw your sketch with your idea and sending it to me. That means a lot that you entrusted me with one of your ideas and took the time to sketch it out and send it to me. And I appreciate that so much. That was so cool. And I was glad she did that. And I've been waiting for a good colored square to be able to do it. I was worried that that still might be a little too dark, and I was trying to figure out if I was going to have to do a different color. And I would have just to make it work. So that was day 80's square. So without further ado, and I forgot to grab my box, let's draw from our boo box of fate to start our next group of 10 so we can work on day 81. Let's see. Okay, we're going with A, and this is one, yes, it is from the Red Heart Super Saver Brights in Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo Stripes Brights, and it is different. Definitely all of these are different that we've been pulling. Um Maybe this one matches a little more. We might be able to strategically place those close together for one of those jumbo weedy eaten appliques. So this is going to be day 81. Um, I'll have to see, because now that this group of 10, 71 through 80 is finished, they can be ready to go into the blanket. And actually, I counted up, and out of all of the ones that I had in the box to add, I think there's 6 left over. And so with that 10, that would make 16. I think I might be able to get 2 rows. I believe I can get the row with 8 squares and then the row with 7, because that equals 15. So we might be able to get that done over the weekend. We will have to see. So there we are, day 81, Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo Stripes in brights. And I love these squares. I think it would be so cool just to have a blanket made out of these squares. Yeah. So who knows for a later date. I may have enough. But I have been working on one in C2 in yeah, C2C. Um, where I've been using them to do a C2C blanket. It's only got maybe this much on it. I'm not very far, if I remember correctly. I can't remember now because I haven't worked on it in a while. And that's a project for a later time. It has no I need to be done expiration date or anything on it. So there we go for day 81. We will see. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go so you can enjoy your Friday. I hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend. If you have any plans to do any fun stuff, and I hope you get some time for some crafty fun and family time. So, with that, I love you guys, and I will see you back tomorrow for day 81. Bye for now.